Super excited to have you with us today to talk about education, leadership. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I'm Dr. Ivonne Diaz-Claisse, and my journey started in Puerto Rico. I was a young student in Caguas, Puerto Rico, with a big dream. I really love mathematics, and it was one of the things that, I was quiet about it. I did not share it with many people, but I did sign up for the most advanced math class in my high school. And that was the beginning of understanding that I could do it, kind of like starting to build that self-efficacy in that field. I went to University of Puerto Rico for a degree in mathematics. And something really magical happened at that point, which was I finally met a Puerto Rican mathematician. And
Wow.
that's the moment where this dream, this idea came kind of like became kind of like it could be an actual goal in my life. So I truly believe in the power of role models because I
Mhm.
experienced that as a young student. And then from there, I actually came to the United States. Obviously, like many of us, it was very challenging with the language barrier and also leaving our families and all that kind of guilt that goes around because of that. But I went to an amazing place as well. I went to Cornell University first to
Mhm.
study a master's in engineering in operations research. And I remember all the experiences from the first snowfall, seeing the first apple tree, and all those things and memories that I cherish now so much. But also, I remember being so blessed of meeting people from all over the world and talk about language and the importance of language. We all communicated in English, but my friends were from Japan. I had a friend from Iceland. I had a friend from Italy. So, I kind of felt right at home in a way because we know we all had our accents and it was okay. I felt welcome. And
Wow.
that was amazing. From there, I continued my journey. I went to later on to pursue another master's degree at the University of Maryland, and ultimately getting my PhD, becoming a mathematician at Arizona State University.
Wow. And for some reason, when you said, "Oh, I found my love at a very young age
Yeah.
with math," but at the same time, you have to give yourself permission to go for it, or it was more powerful what you felt that because you were hiding it at the beginning that you were taking advanced classes. That's incredible.
Mhm. Yes, no, absolutely. I was very scared. I was scared to fail. I was scared
Mhm.
to have people laugh at me because I had this big dream. But in retrospective, I really, really believe that we need to allow ourselves to dream.
Mhm.
Everything starts there. So, and that's something that I bring to students all the time. Like, just forget everything and just think, what would you like to be when you grow up? And
Mhm.
sometimes the students, the first thing they write is like, very kind of like doable, achievable. Then I tell my story and I ask them again, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then they start changing. And I think that that's definitely something we need to nurture. Really encourage students to dream. There's so many different careers. There's so many different opportunities. We can learn so much more and so much faster than when we were growing up. People didn't know exactly what is to be a mathematician, right? People didn't understand that. A lot of people wanted me to go into the business field because math
Yes.
was, you can be a great accountant, you can be a great at finance. And the truth is that none of that math was appealing to me. I wanted to understand the why of the methods that have been developed, the algorithms. So it was interesting to kind of like my teachers could not guide me. It was that role model that would show me what I needed to do, validated the dream, and kind of pointed me to the right direction.
I hear role models. You've said it a couple times already, which is, I think, is incredible because sometimes we don't even understand the power of seeing ourselves in another person. And sometimes I do consulting and coaching for Latina entrepreneurs, Latina business people, and you need that connection. You need that. show me how you did it kind of way. We are growing in the United States, the Latino community. It's the biggest minority right now in the country. And, but we are also um, needed to grow in other areas, if that's the best way to say it, when it comes to education, leadership, being more involved in government. How do you see the next generation? I see a lot of potential, but are we there?
Definitely, there's so much work to be done. And it start with these conversations. It start by ourselves validating others around us. I always tell the Latino professionals that I speak to that they need to be thinking about their own professional development at the same time that they are telling their stories with the youth and inspiring the youth. They need to focus on how can they advance, because truly the further they go, the further the next generation will go. So
Hmm.
it's not only about us achieving X or Y, is that when we grow professionally and we achieve great positions of leadership and so forth, we're providing more role models for our community. So that's something that I always talk about, because we tend to be on the side of like the humbleness and really kind of being quiet. I'll wait for someone else to see my potential and promote me. And we know that doesn't work like that. I mean, some people get lucky that way, but it is also about you exploring the possibilities. It's about you growing your network, about you really being open and allowing yourself to dream about those next positions, right? And
Yes.
that point is like things start clicking in your mind, and then new goals, you will set up new goals and new doors will open. And I always say we have to be brave to go through those doors so that
Wow.
you can do it all again, grow your network, grow your expertise, so that it's almost like, I mean, I talk about the Fibonacci spiral, which is a mathematical term, but I feel that it is a way to grow in our careers, in our communities, in our impact.
Yes.
When you talk about the numbers, we need to think that by 2036, 1 in 3 students in our public schools will be of Latino heritage. I mean, let's
Mhm.
think about that. The workforce of the very near future, even today, will really rely on our Latino students really pursuing the highly skilled careers. And we
Exactly.
need to be there for them so that they know about these careers, so that they can start adding that to their goals, and they know how to navigate to get to those careers. So it's the future of this country truly depends on us sharing our stories with the
Yes.
youth.
I love it. Let's talk about HISPA. How did everything started with HISPA?
I worked for AT&T for many years, and when I was working at AT&T, even though my work was very technical, I volunteer a lot. I volunteer with what they're called affinity groups or business resource groups. I used to, help organize events, professional development opportunities, even community impacting events. And during that journey, I was able to start seeing what was happening in our communities. If you think about it, when I first joined AT&T, this is a long time ago, over 30 years ago, there was about 20 million Latinos in the United States.
Oh, wow.
Then after working at AT&T, finishing my degrees and all of that, and I was leading this organization, which was a national organization, the Hispanic Employee Resource Group of AT&T.
Mm-hmm.
There was about 40 million Latinos in this country. And the talk was Latinos are dropping out. Students are, there is this Latino educational pipeline that is leaking, from 100 students that are in middle school, only 40% graduate, and then only 60% of the 40% graduate. And by the end, you have less than 1% of Latinos with advanced degrees. And that was like really frustrating to me to hear. And at the same time, I had the opportunity to share my story in a school. And that's how kind of like the
Mm.
second aha moment, right? It was, I just went to Newark, New Jersey to a school. And it was like somebody said, "Yeah, you're the president of this organization. You should come and talk to the kids about your life." And I went in there, and then there was a whole auditorium filled with students. And I asked the principal, how many of the kids are Latino here? And he looked at me like, where have you been? Like, this school was like at least 90%, 98% Latino students. So I told my story, zero preparation. I just told it as it was, the challenges about a girl loving mathematics and all of that. And at the end, the students were so inspired. They wanted my autograph. They stood on
Oh,
a line for an autograph. They started telling me, because of you, I will also pursue higher education. I will also, one girl told me, I will also have a PhD. And
oh,
that's
that's
the moment.
awesome.
That's the moment where the vision of what HISPA could be was ignited, right? It was like this amazing moment where I said, wait, one of the top reasons, I've done a lot of research on the subject, one of the top reasons why Latino students don't pursue higher education is just simply the lack of a role model in their lives that
Wow.
showed them the way forward. And I said, wait, but I was just a role model for 100 plus students. And that
Mhm.
took 1 hour, 2 hours of my time. What if my friends do this? What if their friends do this? And that's how and instantly knew that this is something that we could do together.
Exactly. So it became like a mentorship, like people, how does it work?
Yeah, so it is truly about sharing our story. So what I did first was just a kickoff event. 100 role models in 100 hours. How can we get 100 individuals to say, yes, I want to prepare a PowerPoint with pictures of me when I was a kid and graduating, and I'm going to accept the invitation from, at that point, Ivonne and this organization, HISPA, to share my story in a school. I remember like today, the first role model that I sent to a school, it's like, I never forget him because he was so brave. Here we were. We started in just 4 schools, 5 programs. And I was coordinating these visits. I had negotiated with the schools, give us 6 dates. In those 6 dates, at least one period, class period, I will coordinate the visits of these engineers from this company, scientists from this other company, finance folks from all these other companies. And the schools were like, what? You're going to do what? They were so excited. They opened their doors to us. And with that, we started to collect feedback from the students. They will start writing thank you notes. We will collect thank you notes. We will mail the thank you notes to the professionals. Then their companies are starting saying, oh, we like what you're doing. How can we be part of that? And that's kind of how this whole
That's
engine
awesome.
has evolved to the point that we have impacted 25,000 students to date.
Wow. So we want to leave the information. I'm going to put it on the
Mhm.
bottom of the interview,
Yeah.
how to get in touch with you, because we have so many professionals. In my LinkedIn, I have maybe like 5,000 connections already. So it will be a great opportunity to connect with Latino professionals, bilingual Latino professionals, because we have that skill, some of us, that we're able to navigate between different languages, but they can also do it in English, in Spanish. It depends.
Yeah, so we have partnership with schools. So we're working with close to 40 schools this year in New Jersey, Florida, Texas, Pennsylvania, and New York. And what we talk to the schools and we welcome the request from the schools. So some schools say, please, definitely, we want you to speak in Spanish. These
Oh,
students. Yeah,
wow.
so we have many
That's
programs
great.
where we share our stories in Spanish. We do obviously want to support the English language acquisition. So we have the slides might be in English as we're
That's
speaking
great.
Spanish. Sometimes we present in English and the slides are in Spanish, so we can be inclusive. In some schools, there's translator if there's students that are from other countries. So we have been able to work with the schools and provide what they need specifically to those students. And I feel very strongly like this is what really makes us unique in the sense that we are not kind of a cookie cutter kind of program that we just go and say this is what it is. We get to know the school, we become kind of part of that school to understand what the students need, and then develop the program to fit best with the needs of the students. Maybe we need to start the first 2 sessions in Spanish, maybe the next 2 sessions bilingual, and then the last 2 sessions in English. We are that flexible. What is important to us is to make sure those students know um, was possible if they make the commitment to education and
Wow.
they
I love
embrace
it.
the opportunities that exist for them.
I love it. I just had a career day not too long ago, and I was able to navigate. There was some students that maybe is the first year in United States, and they said, "Can I ask the question in Spanish?" And I said, "Por supuesto que sí.
Claro que sí.
Claro, you can do it." So she was asking me the questions in Spanish. I will say it bilingual. I will say back and forth. But also, we have the ESOL programs. We also have bilingual education, like the first 3 hours are in Spanish and then the other 3 hours are in English, which is many schools in Palm Beach County in Florida. So it's incredible to see how far we've gone with everything that comes with education. And what it would be the message for the next generation? I feel like there's so much potential, but we have to have also the courage to look, what is the story that we are telling ourselves? What is the story that is navigating my narrative internally?
Mhm.
I think that
That's
it's so
beautiful.
important that we go back to that, especially that little kid. What is the story that you're telling yourself? Because that's what we're going to live, whatever we're telling ourselves. So, what would be a message for those teachers, superintendents? What is the story?
You know, one thing that I always, and actually the title of my presentation is Soñar no cuesta nada. Dream is for free. And that's something my mom told me at a young age. And I feel that that's the theme truly of my life. There's so many times that I have been scared of taking a step or making a decision, but I always remember her phrase. That phrase stays with me. And I say, wait, it's okay. It's okay to allow myself to explore these possibilities. So I feel that in my case, it was allowed, and it is today, exploring the possibilities. We don't lose anything by doing that. We are not, but when we start exploring with a positive attitude, believing that those dreams are going to change into goals, and then you are able to take the actions to achieve them. So for me, it is really that, and I would like to share that, like my story, hopefully, can be a story that can be used by teachers. We actually have my story recorded. We have 200 recorded stories
Oh,
that
wow.
are organized in different ways. It could be as English learners, other challenges we have overcome by fields that we studied. We have developed a treasure, and we are looking forward to providing another way for the schools to learn about the HISPA role models, for the students to have access to the HISPA role models. So I know that you asked me, how does it work? So for the volunteers, super simple, right? We have literally a calendar of events.
Mhm.
These are dates that we have been working carefully with the schools to select. These are the HISPA role model program sessions. Those are in a calendar. As a professional, you can go to portal.hispa.org, create your account, and provide a biography. And then we invite you to a training, a discussion. Okay, these are examples of what are the success, the best practices of how to share stories. We're talking to, most of the time, middle school students, 7th, 8th graders. So we want you to know what are the typical questions they can ask you, so you're not surprised. We have done this close to 3,000 times. So we have developed these best practices. So we share that with you. You prepare your presentation, and then you're a HISPA role model, and then you can
Love it.
self-register. So we have one individual last year that did over 10 school visits in 1 year. We have
Oh,
individuals that do it once a year. That's one thing that they do every year, and they've done it for 15 years. So it depends on people's time and availability. We also do Imagine Days, where we bring the students to the corporations. So in the Palm Beach area that you mentioned, we have brought students to Microsoft. We have brought students to Office Depot. We have brought students in Miami to Visa. So these are companies that are local that are supporting our efforts. So
that's awesome.
that's kind of another message, is that our program is replicable. And we have a formula that we invite corporations to accept the invitation to support us so that we can be in more schools, so that we can have more Imagine Days. And yeah, so it is truly a community coming together to eradicate a problem, an obstacle in the life of our children, in particular the Latino children, is the lack of role models. And together we can remove that from their life, because we are many. You mentioned just in your network, 5,000 individuals. If we could have all of them
Wow.
participate only once, that's the power. That's really hopeful for the future of this country.
Oh, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm very proud of everything that you're doing, and that's why I decided that I really wanted you to be in the podcast. And this is not the last time. I really want you to come whenever you are in town. And you also let us know, and the doors are open. So whenever you want to share a message, because this is important. This conversation is not for only for today. It's a conversation that has to keep going in the classrooms, and not only in elementary, middle school, and high school, in the universities, because
Absolutely.
sometimes in the universities we also need that, especially girls. Sometimes I feel like we need a little bit extra when it comes to becoming more than the society expects from you,
Mhm.
because sometimes they put you in a box just because you're a girl, just for because of that. So I think also it's a conversation for corporate America, the landscape of corporate America, when it comes to those board meetings, when it comes to when we see 10, 12 men and one girl. That conversation has to happen in that boardroom because we need more of those bright minds in there. So thank you so much for being with us today.
No, thank you. And next time I'm down that area, I'm going to invite you so we can do a tour and we can go to universities, we can go to schools, and together we can be role models for our youth.
I would
So
love
stay
that.
tuned.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And